Alright, today we're back in the shop working on the S197. I've got a few things I want to get done to it. We are looking to do the radiator, the thermostat housing. Basically I've got a 07 to 09 housing, so it gets rid of the hose on this side here, and it just comes out over here and runs across over to the upper radiator hose area and gets rid of the thermostat block right there. So simplifies things a lot in the engine bay. I'm also going to see if I can figure out, I saw somebody online that is running a shorter belt than this with basically they're getting rid of the AC bypass pulley, and they don't have a power steering pump. So I'm going to see if I can figure out what that belt sizing is and how to route it. But other than that, the main goals right now are radiator, all the hoses, and the thermostat housing crossover pipe. All right, well, we got the radiator and the hoses out. They just did it all as one giant piece. But anyway, to get this crossover pipe out, I need to remove the intake. Basically, there's bolts here and on the other side that secure the intake and the crossover pipe. So pull the intake off, and next step, just getting that crossover pipe out of there. Intake is off. Now I just need to get this crossover pipe off. So we've got these bolts here for this bracket for the alternator and the crossover pipe, and then that's the hose I was talking about on the back side. So got to disconnect that guy, a couple of bolts up here in this bracket, and then this whole section, this whole coolant crossover should come off. And just like that, the crossover pipe is off. This is the difference here. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the one that came off the car. This is the new one going on the car. But it basically takes where your upper radiator hose normally came off on an 0506, moves it over here, puts the thermostat inside here, which I'm not running a thermostat. And then instead of this having a whole extra set of hoses that goes down to another thermostat housing, it eliminates that entirely and just has a single lower radiator hose with one hot hose going to the overflow, or the expansion tank rather. So anyways, much simpler. As you can see, still has the heater core pipe in the back, but yeah, it's just much simpler of a design. It gets rid of a lot of the hoses. I'll unbox the hoses over there and show you the difference between how many hoses we are dealing with. All right, so here's the difference. So 0506 upper radiator hose, this spider looking thing of a contraption. So this goes to the the upper the upper side of the coolant crossover pipe on the driver's side. This goes to the block. Obviously that goes to the lower radiator hose, and then this goes to the expansion tank. So you've got, and then inside here is the thermostat. So, and all this is just basically floating in front of the engine, and then it converts to this. So upper radiator hose, lower radiator hose, and your expansion tank hose. So much simpler than that, a lot less just crap in the way. So you'll see, it'll make this portion in front of the motor just so much cleaner. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've been putting off because the car works, and I wanted to get a bigger radiator at the same time, plus just trying to track down one of those crossover pipes for an 07 to 09, because it's got to come off of an engine from an 07, 09 because they don't make them anymore, and there's nobody that's aftermarketing them. Got it. No one's doing it in the aftermarket. So that being said, I found one that somebody was doing a LS swap in their car. They were nice enough to sell me just the crossover pipe for a good deal, so I got that. Got the Mishimoto hoses. Oh, and I also got, of course, a nice big, 3-core aluminum radiator, or whatever they call it. I think they call it a 3-core. Some of them call it 2. But anyway, a big aluminum radiator compared to stock. My stock one, again, wasn't terrible, but it worked, but it is beat up. The other side's way worse. I'd flip it, but there'd be water that comes out. Anyway, it needed it. So now I'm going to clean these areas up, make sure that it's going to get a good sealing surface, and go ahead and put the new one on. So, quick little fun fact I just learned on this crossover pipe, doing this changeover, the alternator brackets are different. He did give me the one that came off of his motor with this thermostat housing, or this coolant crossover pipe. So, just a heads up, this is the difference on them. So, this is 0506, 0709. It might be 10 as well. I keep saying 0709 because 10 is, kind of a generation change, but it's still a 3 valve. But anyway, so there is like, a spacer guy on this one compared to this one that's completely flat. So just a heads up on that. The bolts are longer. That bolt is longer than the one on the 0506, and the bracket is different. So just a heads up on that if you're doing this yourself. Okay, so little side quest on the doing the coolant crossover pipe and the radiator and all that. I talked about changing up the belt setup because I had seen somebody that didn't have a power steering pump but also didn't have an AC bypass pulley, so was just running crank water pump and alternator. And I kind of figured out how they did it. I saw a picture of like their routing, but I didn't know how they did it per se, but I figured it out. So what you do for this, so this pulley here, smooth pulley, is usually right here, and then this pulley, this ribbed pulley, is down over here. So what I had to do, and I measured the belt. I've got a belt on the way, or I measured for a belt. I've got one on the way. But basically around the crank, up over your tensioner, behind this pulley here, then up to your alternator, around your alternator, around the water pump, back around your crank pulley. So that being said, again, this is the idler from here. So move the pulley from here to here, and then this bolt is from this pulley still. So this bolt originally came from here. This bolt is longer than this bolt. So if you put that bolt in here, the pulley will not be tight. It'll move around, it'll slat, or it'll, touch the case, whatever. So make sure to reuse the bolt from the smooth pulley. But anyway, so yeah, this is a way to get rid of this bypass pulley down here from where the AC compressor was. And if you don't have power steering, or if you don't have hydraulic power steering, you've gone to electronic power steering like I have. So yeah, this pulley here is from over here. So move that pulley to over here and reuse the bolt from this original, from the pulley that was here. All right, I got the intake back on and I got the belt figured out. So that is the routing. And this is the exact belt that I'm using. So that being said, it's got good tension on it. There's not going to be a crap ton of load because it's just the water pump and the alternator. So I'm not too worried about it. You could probably do a 490 instead of a 495, but this works pretty well. It goes on fairly easily, but has some decent tension to it. So anyway, yeah. So back to, well, I guess I'm going to remove that pulley down there. And then I'm going to get back to doing the radiator and the hoses and all. Okay, a little bit of a jump here, but I've got everything put back together. I mean, y'all saw how it came apart. So I threw it all back together. New radiator, the hoses are in, all that's good. This lower hose had a little bit of a clearance problem. It's hard to see, but right there, I put another rubber hose just below it. to keep it from rubbing on where the sway bar bushing mount is. I lowered the car a little bit in the front because since I did the 12K springs, it raised the car a little bit. So I lowered it about a ½ inch or so. So we'll see how it sits after this. And then I finally cut the sway bar down so I can actually go back to full lock and basically adjust my steering stops so that they're no longer, basically I can get about 5 to 10 degrees more now that I cut the sway bar. So got all that done. And honestly, I really should start working on the trailer, but I might start doing interior stuff. So we'll see here in a second. But I got the cooling package, all that stuff is done. So yeehaw, we'll see where this goes from here. I'm going to, I mean, I've already kind of started, as you can see here, but I'm going to see about just pulling the dash today. I need to get rid of the air box and everything that's behind there. So if you look right in there. So for the cage to go in the car, I've got to get rid of the air box and all the excess crap that's behind there. So I'm going to start tackling that and see where we get to on it. Well, that escalated quickly. Honestly, it wasn't too bad because a lot of it was already removed, but yep. All right, now to get all that crap out of here. Well, we got all the insulation and sound deadening out of here. So we're gonna go ahead and vacuum and put it back in. Yeehaw. Okay, so a little bit of a jump here, but the dash is back in the car. We got it all back in, set in, well, at least as much of it that is left, because it kind of just fell apart. But anyway, looks halfway decent from right here. That's what matters. But all the air box and everything is all out of there. You can kind of see back in there. No more air box, none of that stuff, or HVAC box, whatever you want to call it. And then all the cooling system's done. So everything's all set and ready to go for first event of the year. I'm waiting on tires to be here Monday. So I got some tires coming in on Monday, but other than that, we're all set and ready to go. So our first event will be of the year is the OSW Drift class qualifier. So it's on January 11th. But anyway, so that's that for the day. Radiator, hoses, coolant, reroute, or whatever you want to call it, coolant pipe, crossover pipe. Got the dash. We're good. And she runs. Now to go fill up E85 and put all the other stuff in the trailer, and we're good to go. So anyways, if y'all enjoyed it, thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, doing all that kind of stuff. But other than that, we'll see you next time. Yeehaw.